So speaking of COVID, there is an individual, according to theguardian.com, who was wanted, a man on the run, and he was hiding in lockdown with his family. He might have had a warrant out for his arrest. This is coming from West Sussex, so I'm not sure what they call that there, but he was wanted. They wanted to apprehend him and put him in custody, and he was in hiding, and they couldn't find him until he got so stinking sick of the lockdowns that he just went and turned himself in. Here's what the story says. Wanted man quits lockdown at home for, quote, peace and quiet in prison. Wouldn't that be nice? A wanted man handed himself into the police in West Sussex to avoid having to spend any more time in lockdown with the people he lives with. The man, whose identity was not disclosed, presented himself voluntarily to the Sussex police on Wednesday afternoon, reportedly in the hopes of getting some peace and quiet. Police said the man, who was wanted on a recall to prison, handed himself into the Burgess police station and was in custody and heading back to jail. Psychologists are reporting a rise in the number of people experiencing symptoms of sustained stress, similar to burnout at work, including problems with sleep and concentration, and many people are desperate for human contact after months of relative or total isolation. So this guy just says, I'll just go to prison. Things will be better there than they are in free society. A wide range of studies have found that the pandemic has taken a toll on relationships with family and friends. Research from the University of Oxford found that levels of stress, depression, and anxiety among parents and carers? Parents and carers. Well, I haven't seen that word in that context. So like people who care for people had increased with the pressures of the lockdowns. Couples have also felt the strain. In April last year, almost a quarter of couples, 23%, say they were struggling with their relationships, according to research by a relationship support charity called Relate. Figures were released in July to show lockdown had 8% of people realize they need to end their relationship, rising to 15% for those aged between 25 and 34. Divorce inquiries also soared by 300% last year as the coronavirus lockdown led to many to consider their relationships, according to the co-op. And lawyers were inundated with inquiries from divorced parents arguing about where their children should stay during lockdown, with some seeking a prison sentence for their former partners for breaking custody arrangements. It's a whole new field of law. There are like COVID crimes now, mass crimes. You see people assaulting each other in grocery stores and parking lots and restaurants for mask issues. It's creating a whole new series of different areas of law that people can practice in. Now you've got COVID divorces, you've got COVID custody battles. Of course, you've got COVID estate plans and COVID deaths and COVID probate situations. You've got COVID crimes. You've got the whole thing. It's a boon for the lawyers. Some of them, not all of them. So the ramifications, I think, are just compounding. And at some point, the bill is going to become due. And we're going to see what the response looks like for these elected people who have been depressing, causing anxiety, wrecking businesses, wrecking marriages, wrecking relationships with children, wrecking student education all over the world. That bill is going to become due, and we don't know what that is going to look like yet. Into the questions over from locals.com. We've got Liberty or Death says, as you know, the Kung flu is a very woke virus. Doesn't kill people after 6 p.m., won't kill you if you are actively eating or drinking, and will attack you if you believe in liberty. Yeah, it's conniving. This little virus is just like, hey, I'm going to get you unless you're eating or drinking, or if it's after 6 p.m. Nonsense. We got Cattle Caregiver says, peace and quiet from his family in prison. I thought I had a rough childhood. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I think the story is like a little bit facetious, right? That guy obviously needed to go back to prison. He was wanted, and so he probably got a little bit tired of being on the run and just said, I'm going to go deal with the circumstances. But it is kind of funny to say, well, I need some peace and quiet. I'm going to go back to prison. So the guy at least has a sense of humor about the whole thing. We got Jack Elia, who says, if a person is divorcing you over COVID, you are better off. Oh, my God. Yeah, I know. Well, what if the terms of your marriage was that, honey, we're going to leave the house for, 8 to 10 hours a day. I'm not going to see you all day. Right? That's an original term of the marriage. Right? If you're I'm not married, haven't been married. Don't necessarily intend to get married anytime soon. but if I was, then I think my question would be, am I going to get a little alone time away from you? You know, like a lot of alone time. Okay. I love you, sweetie. Love you, baby. I intend to stay married with you for eternity and into the afterlife and all of that stuff. But if I got to spend 12 months locked in a house with you, I'm pulling the ejection cord. I'm out. Doesn't matter who she is.